Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Angela Brennan, and this video I'm bringing you Spellbinders Large Die of the Month, October 2024, Cozy Toes Slippers. Here are all the dies which I've categorized into the different characters, and I'm going to show you one by one how I'm going to die cut them. Quite a few of the dies you reuse them with the different characters in the die, and I will show you firstly how I'm going to do the legs with the cozy slippers. So here are the components that I'm going to be using, and I've die cut them, some in white card, some in patterned paper. The patterned paper that I use primarily for this cards in this video is from Rosie Studio Oh Joyful Day Designer Papers Pad. It's a 6x6 paper pad, and I use quite a lot of the pattern paper in this particular die set that I show you in this video. I always back the pattern paper with some card which I die cut as well, because the pattern paper is quite light. I think it's 65 GSM, so I do put an additional card behind it to give it a little bit more robustness, which is really helpful when assembling the die cuts. I use my liquid glue with the fine nozzle tip to apply glue when I'm applying the die cuts. And the die cuts have got an etched lines on it, so you know exactly where to put each of the components, because the etched lines are a guide. So you've got a curve here, a straight line here, and you know that's why you can have all of the die cuts assembled in a uniform manner, because you've got those etched lines. So it's very easy to put together. All you need to do is patiently look at the die cuts in groups. So now I've done the legs with the shoe, the basic shoe. Now I'm going to do the rabbit or the bunny. The bunny, you use the same elements, so quite a few of the same elements. See this eye, this element to darken the eye and the nose. You use it for all the characters. So you use it for the reindeer, the penguin, Santa Claus. You use it for all of it. So it's just a lot of repetitive elements that you use. So you see all the elements I have here. These are the die cuts I use for the bunny. And I'm just assembling it again with my liquid glue with the fine nozzle tip. I've used this art glitter glue for so many years, over a decade. I do buy the art glitter glue in a 16-ounce bottle. So it's a refill bottle, and I refill these smaller containers. I also use the crystal Katana media picker tool, which is so helpful when attaching all of the smaller die cuts to assemble the bunny. So you see it's pretty much done here. I'm just adding the rosy cheeks. Even the rosy cheeks has an etched line there, so you know exactly where it goes. I like these die cuts because it's so well designed. It guides you exactly where to put all the smaller die cuts with the various etched lines everywhere. So all you need to do is do it bit by bit. So you've got this bunny here, and I'm going to attach it to the front of the shoe with some dimensional tape behind it, just to give it a little bit of a pop. So you always do this in two. Obviously, you've got two legs, so I do it twice, and I've already done one, and I'm just going to attach the bunny again. So the bunny here, I could have done it in a mirror image. In the video I've done for the small die of the month, which I'll put a link to in the description below, I did a mirror image for the penguin die cut. So that's why I got the idea of the mirror image die cuts. Perhaps I'll do it in one of my other videos to show how I do further mirror images. For this Santa image though, if you can see the hats there, the hat, they've got two hats. So they've already got the mirror image die of the hat available, so you don't have to do any additional stuff. Here I'm just assembling the Santa head. You can see quite common images here. So for the eye, the back of the eye, I use the same die as for the bunny, and then I'm just assembling the hat. It's relatively easy to put them all together. I just think if you don't get overwhelmed when you see all the dies at the same time, categorize them. And that's what I'm trying to do this video. I'm trying to categorize them and show you how I assemble the characters one by one. And you will see the repetitive dies in some of them. And hopefully this will help you assemble your die set when you get it. I really enjoyed figuring out how to put it together. It's just kind of what I like when I get these die sets. But I do use lots of colored cardstock. Usually I do die cut all of them in white cardstock and start coloring them, inking them with either distress inks, Ultra inks, or even Copic markers. But this time I use a lot of my scraps to die cut the respective images or the respective dies. Once you put together your first set, you will get the hang of it. You will understand how they all work together and you'll be more confident in putting them together. Here's another leg that I did, and I used the same Rosie Studio Oh Joyful Day designer paper set, and I decided to use the pajama bottoms with the Santa heads on it, and I just attached the Santas with some dimensional tape again. So I think it's really cute, this die set here, and you can make some cards. And the cards that I make, a lot of the sentiments are from the bonus item, which is Fuzzy Feelings. I think it goes really well with this die set especially. This die here is just a bit of like a clawed in the front of the shoe. So it's pretty easy to put together this one. So I don't really show you the details. So you just need those two dies there. And there you go. You've got the shoe assembled. The next one I do is the reindeer. And these are all the dies that I use for the reindeer. And again, once you understand which dies go with it, it's pretty straightforward to put them together. Again, the eye and the ears of the back of the ears is all part of that die. So you can see each of the dies that go for each of the characters. Once you understand which ones they are, and I hope this video gives you an idea which ones they are, then you can start deciding what colors you want to do and put them together. As I said, once you do the first one, the second, third, fourth, fifth, it'll be easy, and then you can get more creative with the colors that you use. I really hope you enjoy this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And when you do subscribe, remember to press that notification bell so you're alerted when new videos are uploaded. For the antlers of this reindeer, there's an etched line there that tells you exactly where to put the antlers. As I said, all of these dies are so well designed that it gives you a view on where to place each of the die cuts with those etched lines. For the reindeer's nose, I die cut it with a white card because I couldn't find the exact red shade that I wanted, and I'm using my Copic marker here to color it. I'm using a few different colors, and I place the die cut onto a press and seal just to keep the die cut in place. So then while I do some shading with my Copic markers, you can do it on the sticky mat, but I didn't want to stain my sticky mat with alcohol markers. So the press and seal, which once it's stained, I can just get rid of it. If I use it on the sticky mat, then I need to get the right alcohol wipes to clear it, and it takes a little bit longer to clear it. So I find this a little bit easier. Use a press and seal and then get rid of it. Or you can even put it onto the back of a post-it. So as long as the sticky element keeps the small die cut in place for you while you color it, that will do the job. So here I color it with a few different markers, red markers, to get the really red nose of that reindeer, just to give it a little bit more of a pop. Later on, I actually add some reindeer's glossy accents onto that red nose to just give it that extra shine. I do like doing that. I do use quite a lot of glossy accents in some of it. And here I'm attaching it on the front of a shoe, and I try to match the pajama legs or the pajama bottom patterns with the character I'm going to put onto the shoe. And here again, the pattern papers are all from the same designer paper pad. Here putting together the penguin. The penguin here, all of the lines are etched. So it's a little bit easier to put a penguin together. There's not many die cuts to go with this one. But the penguin does come with an extra couple of elements, which is the earmuffs as well as the fuzzy hat. You don't have to use it with the penguins alone. You can use it with any of the other characters. I decided to use it with the penguins, and I choose different colors, a color scheme to go with it. So it's quite fun to have different elements to go with each of the characters. The penguin is the easiest to put together because you've got black, white, and you've got orangey yellow color for the little mouth. So it's easy to put together. I do lots of Spellbinders Clubkits videos, and once I've done them, I tend to put it into a playlist for each month, so it's easy for everyone to get access to it, especially if you're going to get to your Spellbinders Clubkits later, after the month has passed, or you want to refer to it later on when you're doing another card. So these videos are meant to give you inspiration as well as a tutorial on how to assemble the die sets, and I hope it achieves its objective. I do other Spellbinders releases as well. I do sometimes release my videos a little bit late, but I do release it anyhow. So hopefully you get inspiration from it. And if you do, I would really like to hear from you. Just leave a comment at the bottom if you got questions, if you would just want to give me a view on how the video went. Absolutely would love to hear from you. All of these cards that I do, what I tend to do, because I've got so many cards, I started distributing it to various hospices, hospitals, care homes. It's just that all the residents, as well as the people who visit them, they will need cards as well. So I've got really good feedback and good reception on getting these cards, because I make loads and loads of cards, and I thought it would be quite helpful to give it to people who want to give cards away. So here I've got a couple of legs that I've die cut here. Rather than use a pattern paper, I'm trying something slightly different. So I'm coloring the white die cut of these pajama bottom legs with some Distress Ink Kitsch Flamingo, because after that I intend to do some embossing. You can do embossing, you can use any of your embossing folders or even some of your dies. You can do some stitching the background dies and do some stitching on it, so you got like embroidered pajama bottom legs if you want to be fancy. So it can be quite versatile in how you do this. So I use the embossing folder of the month, which is the Checkered Argyle from October 2024, and I just spray some water behind it so it doesn't crack when I put it through the embossing machine. And then voila, you've got a fancy Argyle, Checkered Argyle pajama bottom, which is pink. Now, because it's a little bit thin and I want it a little bit thicker, I do put a little bit of a backing because of the various layers with the shoe and all of that. I do like to have an additional backing to the pajama bottom. And I'm just going to attach the penguins. So I've got one penguin with the fuzzy head and one with the earmuff, again with some dimensional tape. I like to kind of match it a little bit because I think you don't always match your pajama bottoms with your slippers because you've got one pair of slippers. At least I do. And then it just goes. But when you're doing a card, I thought it would be kind of cute to just match it a little bit. You know, all the various characters I did with the pajama bottom legs. And you will see me put them into cards. And I even got an extra card where I don't use the pajama bottom legs, but I just use the characters. So do check out the various cards that I do create. And what I'm doing here is I'm creating a little bit of a skirting board. I don't know if you know this is a skirting board. Just between the floor and the wall, usually there's a little bit of a white border, which is a skirting board. That's what they call it here in the UK. So I'm creating that because when they're standing, the pajama bottom legs are standing or put onto the front of the card, I want to have a little bit of a differentiation between the floor and the wall. So I'm putting the skirting board, which is usually in white, in the front of the card base, which is an A6 card I'm using here, which measures 14.8 centimeters by 10.5 centimeters. And again, these designer papers are from the same paper pad, the 6x6 paper pad called Oh Joyful Day by Rosie's Studio. And there you go, you got the card front. And all I have to do now is place the legs with the bunny in the front, and this die or this sentiment, warm and cozy, vicious, is from the same die set, which is the large die of the month. Here I'm putting the legs at a slight angle, again backing it up with some dimensional tape and just putting it at an angle as you're walking rather than putting it straight. So I do a couple of variations and then I just place the die, the sentiment that I've die cut there. Initially, I tend to go with a white with a black background. Then when I do put it, I'm not too keen. So I do go and look for a light teal card and I die cut the sentiment. I do stick with the black background, but I end up doing it with the teal background because I think it looks better because of the flow as well. I just didn't think the white sentiment went. It could have gone, but it's just not something I like that point in time. I attach it to the card and voila, the card's done. So pretty basic, pretty easy design once you've done the assembly of the die cuts. Here's where I'm adding the glossy accents to all of the noses, the Santa head, the nose of the Santa, as well as the nose of the reindeer. I think it's really cute, these cards. It just gives you that warm, it doesn't have to be Christmas, it can be just winter-based cards. It can be a birthday card for someone who has a birthday in the winter as well. especially someone who likes some really fancy slippers. This is the card I've done here. I'm not using the legs. I'm just using the characters here. Background, again, the embossing folder of the month. I'm just putting the little reindeer, the penguins with the beer muff, as well as the fuzzy head and the Santa head. All I've popped it with some thin dimensional tape. This is only 1 millimeter dimensional tape. The sentiment, I'm using the BetterPress of the month sentiments. Now these sentiments, I have hot foiled them. So I do like using BetterPress because you can hot foil them. I did hot foil them previously and die cut it with a die that comes with a BetterPress of the month. I have a separate video showing you how I do design a plate with the BetterPress of the month, but this is just using the sentiment for this card. And I just wanted to do a card without all the legs and everything, just with the characters. You can just create so many beautiful cards or tags with just the heads of these characters that come with the large die of the month. I really hope you've got inspiration from all of these cards. So now I'm doing some assembly of the cards and I'm using the stencil of the month. So you see that background there, that's stencil of the month, which is how I've created that card. But now I'm going to use a pattern paper, a gingham pattern paper, and use the stencil of the month with some inks. When it comes to stencil of the month, you tend to do it on white card or plain colored card. So I thought I'll try something with pattern paper behind it. Again, I'm adding some distress inks, just a blue print sketch ink. When applying ink on stencils, make sure you have the right blending brush. So here I'm using the small blending brush from Ultranew. Relatively easy stencil to do, just 2 layers, and the second layer I use a different blue to just have a bit of a contrast, but I don't want to have too much of a contrast in the background. I don't want to take away from the card because this is just meant to be the wallpaper on the wall of the card front, and that's what I'm hoping to achieve with this background that I'm doing. I do have a separate video for stencil of the month, and do check that out when I release it, but this is just using the various components from the Spellbinders Clubkits to create the card. The Spellbinders Clubkits, they do all come in a theme, so you can use a few of the Clubkits to create one card. Because the gingham paper is quite thin, I'm just placing it onto another thicker card to just give it a background, just to make the background a bit more robust before I put it onto the card front. Easy enough to do. Place it onto some white card and die cut it, or cut it with a guillotine. Cut it down with a guillotine for the card front. I'm going to place it onto the card front. So all of these cards are relatively easy to put together once you get the hang of assembling the die cuts. I can see myself using the die cuts of the characters without the pajama bottom or the shoe and using it on other Spellbinders Club kits of the month this month. Or you can use it for any Christmas cards or winter wishes cards. Relatively easy enough to put together. So I'm here having a skirting board. I did say the skirting boards are usually white. On hindsight, maybe I should have kept it white, but I thought I'd try something different, and I do have it in blue here. I don't think it quite goes, but I just go with it, the skirting board in blue, and then place the card or the various elements onto the card accordingly. Pretty straightforward to put the card together. I just wanted to show how you can have different backgrounds, either pattern paper, stencil. You can even use stencil with some glimmer paste, lunar paste, or you can just use some embossing folder patterns. Very, very versatile in how we put this together. I did use a lot of dimensional tape when I put these cards together, and I'm just putting the legs here at a slight angle, just for some differentiation, and attaching it onto the card front with a sentiment. I do put all of my card fronts, I do use lots of double-sided tape and not liquid glue. This is just what I'm comfortable with. I've been asked this question a few times, why I don't use liquid glue. I do use liquid glue when I attach the die sets, but when I put the cards onto the card front, I tend to use double-sided tape. Here's another sentiment from the BetterPress of the month, which I have hot foiled with black hot foil earlier. There are many ways to put these cards together, so if you've got any new ideas, I'd love to hear from you. Do let me know what you think of this video. And here is a card where I'm using all of the front with some designer paper. I'm not going to be doing the floor or the skirting board, just putting all the card. And I'm also going to cut the pajama legs slightly shorter because I want to use a sentiment that is not only from the BetterPress of the month, but I'm also going to use a sentiment from the bonus item. The bonus item is different every month. This time it's a sentiment that is a BetterPress plate, and that's the one on the left there, but it also can be hot foiled. So these are the bonus item sentiments that I've hot foiled. There are all the cards I've done. I've added some additional ranges glossy accents onto some of the eyes and the nose of the characters, and I've put all the cards together as you see me do. But I love adding a little bit of a shiny element to a lot of the eyes and the nose as well. I think it gives it that extra shine. I really hope you're inspired by these cards and the videos helpful. I'd really like to hear from you what your thoughts are. Do leave me a comment if you've got any questions or you just want to leave some feedback. It's always good to get some feedback. To the best of my abilities, I've listed all the products used in the description below for your ease of reference. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you enjoy using your Spellbinders Club Kits when you do get them. And do remember, I'm going to put all of these videos for the Spellbinders Club Kits from the October 2024 month into one playlist. Here are pictures of all the cards that I've created, close-up pictures, so you get to see a close-up view of some of these cards. Thank you so much for stopping by. Happy crafting, and I hope you really have fun and find the time to use your Spellbinders Club Kits because time is a rare commodity. Enjoy.